You're sitting on your couch, the show is playing, your phone is on the table, face down. You're not touching it, you're not checking it, but you're not really watching either, because part of you is waiting, not for anything specific, not for an emergency, just waiting for the buzz, the ping, the slight vibration that means someone somewhere needs a piece of you. And here's what makes this terrifying. You don't even notice it anymore. Your body is resting. Your mind never fully does. You exist in a state of permanent half-attention, not fully present where you are, not fully absent either. Just reachable. This isn't stress. This isn't just burnout. This isn't even about your phone. It's about something far more invisible, far more consuming. The paradox of constant connection. You wanted to feel closer to people. You wanted to stay informed, stay relevant, stay available. And you got exactly that. But somewhere along the way, availability stopped being a choice. It became your default state of existence. And now, you can't remember the last time you felt completely, fully, undividedly here. This is the paradox. And it's not just affecting your focus. It's quietly rewriting who you are. The first shift didn't feel dramatic. It felt invisible. Let's be clear about what this is. This isn't a video about deleting social media. It's not about screen time. It's not another lecture on digital minimalism or that bullshit called dopamine detox. This is about something deeper, something you feel every single day but have never been able to name. It's the weight of being psychologically available all the time, not physically busy, not overwhelmed with tasks, just never fully off, never completely unreachable, never entirely yours. You finish work, but the work doesn't finish with you. You close the laptop, but the mental tab stays open. You say you're relaxing, but you're still in listening mode, waiting for the next notification, the next message, the next thing that might need your attention. And the strangest part, this feels normal now. Everyone lives like this, so it must be fine, right? But here's what nobody talks about. This state of constant low-level alertness isn't just exhausting, it's eroding something essential. Your ability to be present, your sense of internal quiet, your connection to yourself. If you've ever felt like you're nowhere fully, even when you're somewhere physically, keep watching, because what you're about to discover will change how you see everything. There was a time when being connected was a decision. You called someone, you visited, you wrote a letter. Connection required intention. It had a beginning and an end. When it was over, it was over. You returned to yourself. That's when something changed. Connection stopped being something you did and became something you lived inside. Now, connection is atmospheric. It's not something you do, it's something you exist inside of. A permanent field of availability that follows you everywhere. Into your bedroom, into your shower, into the few minutes before sleep when your mind used to wander freely. And here's the thing, nobody forced this on you. You chose it. Every app you downloaded, every notification you enabled, every group chat you joined. Each choice felt small, harmless, even convenient. Staying in touch became staying reachable became staying ready. But something shifted along the way. The messages that used to carry weight now arrive empty. Hey, you there? Quick question. No urgency, no depth, just presence for the sake of presence, the digital equivalent of someone standing next to you, waiting for you to acknowledge them. And you do, because not responding feels worse than responding. So you exist in this strange middle ground, not fully engaged, not fully absent, just there, always somewhat there. The cost isn't dramatic. You don't collapse, you don't burn out. You just slowly stop knowing what it feels like to be completely, undividedly present in a single moment. You're having dinner, but part of you is monitoring your phone. You're in a conversation, but your attention is split. You're resting, but you're not unreachable. This is the silent shift. Connection used to bring you closer to people. Now it keeps you at a distance from yourself. And the worst part, you didn't notice when it happened. It was so gradual, so normalized, so universally accepted, that by the time you felt it, It was already your new default. Let's name what you're actually living in. Most people live in this state for years without ever naming it. It's not busyness, it's not stress, it's not even distraction. It's psychological availability, a state where your mind never fully belongs to you because it's always, on some level, prepared to belong to someone else. Your body can rest, you can sit down, you can close your eyes, but your attention, it never fully disengages. There's always a part of you in standby mode, monitoring the invisible channels of potential demand. You're not actively doing anything, but you're never not ready to do something. It's the mental equivalent of leaving every door in your house slightly open. Nothing comes in, nothing goes out, but you're always aware of the openings, always half listening for footsteps. And here's what makes this so insidious. It doesn't feel like a problem. It feels responsible. It feels connected. It feels like being a good friend, a reliable colleague, a present partner. You tell yourself you're just staying engaged with life, but engagement requires presence. And presence requires the ability to be fully somewhere. What you're doing isn't presence. It's distributed attention, a constant low-grade awareness of everyone and everything except the moment you're actually in. You're watching a movie, but your mind flickers to a text you haven't answered. You're in bed, but you're aware your phone is charging within arm's reach. You're having a conversation, but part of you is calculating when you'll need to check your messages again. Nothing urgent is happening, no crisis is unfolding, but you're living as if something might, at any second, require you, and that might never ends. There's no moment when you're officially off duty. No clear boundary between available and unavailable, just a seamless, exhausting continuity of being reachable. This is the state that never turns off, and the longer you live in it, the harder it becomes to remember what it felt like when your mind was entirely, unambiguously yours. Here's the unsettling part. Everyone you know lives like this, and when something becomes universal, it stops feeling like a choice. Your coworkers, your friends, your family, they're all psychologically available, all the time, responding at midnight, checking messages during meals, never fully unreachable. So it stops feeling like a problem. It starts feeling like participation. You see people answer emails on vacation and think, that's just how it is now. You watch someone scroll through notifications during a conversation and don't even register it as rude anymore. It's ambient, expected, normal. And when something is universally normalized, questioning it feels like overreacting. But here's what normalization does. It makes gradual harm invisible. You don't notice you're tired because everyone's tired. You don't question the fragmentation of your attention because everyone's attention is fragmented. You don't realize something's been lost because the loss is collective. The dangerous part isn't the behavior itself. It's that you've stopped seeing it as a choice. You think you have to be available. That boundaries mean disconnection. That saying, I'll respond later, is the same as saying, I don't care. But availability and care are not the same thing. Caring means showing up when it matters. Availability means never fully leaving. One is intentional. The other is a state of permanent low-level obligation. And the paradox deepens. The more constantly available you are, the less present you actually become. Because presence isn't about proximity. It's not about response time. It's about the quality of your attention when you do show up. But if your attention is always divided, always monitoring, always half reserved for the next possible demand, then you're never really there for anyone, not for others, not for yourself. This is why rest doesn't fix it, why a weekend off doesn't restore you, why even when you disconnect temporarily, you return to the same state. Because the problem isn't what you're doing, it's what you've accepted as normal. The damage doesn't announce itself. There's no breaking point, no dramatic moment where everything falls apart. Just a slow, quiet erosion of things you didn't realize mattered until they weren't there anymore. You lose depth first, not in an obvious way. You still have conversations, you still feel things, but the richness, the kind of presence where you're fully absorbed in a moment, where time disappears, where you forget to check anything, that starts to fade. You're listening, but you're also aware of the time. You're enjoying something, but you're already thinking about what comes next. You're there, but never entirely. Then you lose silence. Not external silence, internal silence. The kind where your mind isn't narrating, isn't planning, isn't monitoring. The kind where you can just be without the low hum of mental background noise. That space where thoughts used to settle, where ideas used to form naturally, where you used to process the day without effort. It fills up with static, with the residue of 1,000 small interruptions that never fully leave your system. You lose spontaneity too. Everything becomes calculated. You can't fully commit to a moment because you're aware of what you might be missing elsewhere. You can't be impulsive because part of you is always managing obligations, always keeping track, always making sure nothing slips. Even joy becomes layered with awareness. You're laughing, but you're also thinking about the message you need to send later. You're relaxed, but not unreachable. You're happy, but never completely untethered. And here's the cruelest part. You don't realize what's gone until you accidentally experience it again. A rare moment when your phone dies and you have no choice but to be fully present. A conversation where you forget to check the time. A walk where your mind actually wanders instead of rehearsing replies. And for a second, you remember what it used to feel like to be whole. Then the moment ends, and you return to the fragmented version of yourself you've learned to call normal. This is where most people try to fix the wrong thing. You've tried to solve this before. You organized your schedule better. You set boundaries. You told yourself you'd be more disciplined about when you check your phone. Maybe you even tried therapy, thinking the problem was anxiety or lack of focus. And for a while, it felt like progress. But then it came back. The same weight, the same half-presence, the same feeling of being nowhere fully. Because here's what nobody tells you. This isn't a productivity problem. It's not about managing your time better. You can color-code your calendar, batch your notifications, and follow every efficiency hack in existence, and still feel psychologically available all the time. Because the issue isn't how you engage, it's that you've normalized a state of permanent engagement. It's not a therapy problem either. Therapy helps you process emotions, understand patterns, build resilience. But it can't fully compensate for a life designed around constant reachability. If the structure of your life demands constant availability, no amount of inner work will make that sustainable. You're not broken. The system you're operating in is. And it's definitely not a motivation problem. You don't need a better morning routine. You don't need more discipline or a stronger why. You need to stop treating constant availability as a prerequisite for living a meaningful life. The real problem is this. You're trying to fix the symptoms without addressing the state. The real cost shows up somewhere deeper. Taking a break doesn't change the fact that you return to a world that expects you to be reachable. Resting doesn't reset a nervous system that's been trained to stay alert. Disconnecting for a weekend doesn't undo the months or years of conditioning that taught you availability equals value. You've been sold solutions that treat exhaustion, distraction, and overwhelm as personal failures. But what if the failure isn't yours? What if the problem is that you've been living in a state that was never meant to be permanent and calling it normal? Here's the part that should alarm you. When your attention is never fully yours, your sense of self slowly erodes. Not in a philosophical way, in a tangible, lived way. Because identity isn't built in grand moments. It's built in the accumulation of small, uninterrupted experiences where you're alone with your thoughts, your reactions, your preferences, without external input shaping them in real time. But when you're always available, you're never truly alone. Even when no one's physically there, you're still in relation to others, still aware of their potential presence, still shaping your thoughts around the possibility of being interrupted, being asked, being needed. Your internal monologue becomes a dialogue. Your decisions become negotiations. Your desires become filtered through the question, what if someone needs me right now? And over time, something shifts. You stop knowing what you actually want versus what you think you should want. You stop trusting your instincts because you've trained yourself to override them in favor of responding. You stop having a clear center because you've spent so long existing at the edge of yourself, perpetually ready to extend outward. You become a node in a network instead of a person with boundaries. And the most disturbing part? You don't feel it happening. You just notice one day that you can't remember the last time you felt entirely like yourself, that even your private moments feel performative somehow, that you've lost the ability to be bored, to sit with discomfort, to let thoughts develop without immediately externalizing them. You've become so accustomed to fragmented attention that sustained focus feels unnatural, so used to constant input that silence feels like absence, so conditioned to availability that solitude feels like loneliness. This isn't about losing yourself dramatically. It's about never fully inhabiting yourself in the first place. And the question you need to ask isn't, how did this happen? It's, who am I when no one can reach me? If you can't answer that, it's a sign you've been away from yourself for too long. Most people only notice it in one quiet moment. It doesn't happen all at once. There's no breakdown, no crisis, no dramatic realization that changes everything overnight. Just a moment. Quiet. Unremarkable. You're sitting somewhere, maybe your living room, maybe a park bench, maybe your car, before walking into work, and for no particular reason, you notice something. You're not fully there, not anxious, not distracted by something specific, just absent. Like you're watching your life from a slight distance, never quite inside it. And then the thought arrives, unbidden. When was the last time I felt like myself? Not the version of you that responds, performs, manages, or maintains. The version of you that exists independent of obligation. The one that used to have thoughts that didn't need to be shared, feelings that didn't need to be explained, moments that didn't need to be documented or justified. That version feels far away now, maybe even unrecognizable. You try to remember the last time you were completely unreachable. Not physically unavailable, mentally unreachable. The last time your attention belonged entirely to you, with no part of it reserved for monitoring, waiting, or preparing to engage. You can't. And that's when it hits you. Not with panic, not with anger, just with a quiet, undeniable clarity. This isn't living. This is being lived through. You've become a medium for other people's needs, schedules, and expectations, a surface they project onto, a presence they can access whenever they want. And you let it happen because it felt like connection, like responsibility, like love. But now you see it for what it is. You're not connected, you're colonized. Every part of you that used to be private, autonomous, untouchable, slowly claimed by the assumption that you should always be within reach. Nothing explodes in this moment, nothing breaks, but something shifts. And for the first time in longer than you can remember, you ask yourself a question that actually matters. What would it feel like to belong to myself again? So what now? You're not going to delete everything. You're not going to disappear into the woods. You're not going to perform some performative digital detox that lasts 3 days before you're back exactly where you started. Because the answer isn't escape, it's reclamation. It's something harder and more honest. Here's the shift that actually matters. Availability is not a moral obligation. It's a resource, and like every resource, it can be depleted. You don't owe anyone constant access to you, not your employer, not your friends, not even the people you love. Caring about someone doesn't mean being permanently tethered to them. Presence isn't about proximity, it's about quality. You can be unavailable for hours and show up more meaningfully than someone who's always reachable but never really there. You can care deeply without being instantly responsive. You can be reliable without being on call. The change starts with one simple, uncomfortable practice: choosing unavailability on purpose. Not because you're overwhelmed, Not because you're busy, not because something's wrong, but because you deserve to exist without justification. Turn your phone off for 2 hours, not to punish yourself, not to prove a point, just to see what it feels like when no one can reach you and the world doesn't end. Sit with the discomfort, the guilt, the irrational fear that something urgent is being missed, and then notice what happens when nothing does. Notice how your thoughts stop being reactions and start being yours again. Notice how silence stops feeling empty and starts feeling spacious. Notice how being alone stops meaning being disconnected. This isn't about rejecting connection. It's about refusing to let connection become colonization. You reclaim presence by drawing a line, by saying clearly and without apology, I am not always available, and that doesn't make me unreachable. It makes me whole. Selective availability isn't selfishness. It's self-respect, and it's the only way back to yourself. This was never about technology. It was about permission. You came here feeling something you couldn't name. Now you know what it is. Constant connection isn't bringing you closer to the world. It's keeping you at a distance from yourself. And here's the uncomfortable truth. If you close this video and do nothing, you'll slip right back into it. The notifications will pull you in. The guilt will keep you available. And 6 months from now, you'll still be living in fragments, wondering why nothing feels real anymore. But if even one sentence here made you feel seen, don't let that fade. Leave a comment. Not for me, for you. Right the exact moment you realized you'd lost yourself to availability. That act alone breaks the cycle. It makes the insight real. Share this with someone who's disappearing into constant connection. They won't say it, but they need to hear this as much as you did. And subscribe, because this is just the beginning. If this landed, there's more coming that will completely reshape how you see your mind, your time, and your life. You've been psychologically available for everyone else long enough. It's time to be present for yourself. Hit that like button if you're ready to reclaim your attention, because awareness without action is just another form of distraction.